Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you'll find a way to win or you'll find a way to lose. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Become a member to the channel. Only costs you a couple of dollars a month. If you enjoy the content, why not? And also, follow me on Twitter. You can follow me on Instagram. I'll leave that donation for that fried rice and chicken wings. Now look, man. Did Canelo Alvarez just kick Crawford to the curb? Same way he's been doing David Benavidez for the last few years. That's what could be happening. Now we know Canelo and Crawford are supposed to scrap. And everyone's looking forward to September if Canelo gets past Skull, which we all expect him to put the bing bings on the Cuban. But we know Cuban fighters, they can scrap. So there's no guaranteed win for Canelo, but if he just does enough, he gets the win. Then he gets to go on and fight somebody in September. Somebody. Doesn't mean it's Crawford. Now, Turki Al-Sheikh, he's come out and said it's Crawford, Canelo, September. For undisputed, right? Which makes the fight even more interesting. But I listened to Canelo. When Canelo said, right? But he says a lot of things because he tries to keep things under wraps. When he said, if it's Crawford, no problem, but it's right now they're not sure who it is for September, right? When Canelo came out and said that, I said, damn, are they gonna pull the carpet from underneath Terence Crawford? Because I'm telling you right now, Terence Crawford's not talking about fighting anybody else but Canelo. He's got all his eggs in one basket. And if Conor Ben finds out that Crawford has eggs in the basket, he may be looking to come out there and take a few of them eggs off of Crawford. Because we know Conor Ben likes eggs. But on a more serious note, what is Terence Crawford going to do? Because a few things we need to talk about. Canelo does what he wants. But you know what makes this shit even more interesting and scary? Canelo has always had key decision makers in the secret society looking out for him. Sanctioning bodies weren't giving Canelo any pressure to fight anybody, especially David Benavidez. He just picked and chose who he wanted to scrap. He got in the ring and did the business. But this is what makes it crazy. First, people need to realize Canelo has no obligation to fight Terence Crawford. And Canelo working with Turki Al-Sheikh now, and Turki Al-Sheikh with his new boxing league, that's ruffled a few feathers, okay? So sanctioning bodies, key decision makers behind the scenes, they're feeling the kind of way because I think the secret society is being fragmented as we speak. You're going to see more and more things and hear different things that it's not going to make sense to y'all. And it's not going to make sense because it's out of the norm. And the reason it's out the norm is because Turki Al-Sheikh is starting to come out here and create separation between himself and a lot of promoters he's worked with in the past. And he's starting to kind of look to form his own thing. However, he did say he wants to continue his relationship with promoters, but I'm just telling you, everyone's uneasy. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a knee-jerk reaction that could disrupt some things. But this is the point I want to make. Canelo had never fought Benavidez and seems to have no plans on fighting him. I think Turki Al-Sheikh can get that man $300 million, he won't fight David Benavidez. But with Jake Paul, Canelo and Jake Paul had a deal. They had been working on for 2 months. That shit with Canelo and Jake Paul isn't something that happened overnight. For like 2 months they were working on a deal, finally reached an agreement and signed. This is where it got interesting. Turki Al-Sheikh, according to Jake Paul, for the last 2 months, when he got wind that Canelo and Jake Paul were working on a deal, he was working overtime to disrupt that agreement and to make sure that Canelo didn't go forward with a Jake Paul fight because Turki Al-Sheikh hates Jake Paul. Now look, at the end of the day, Jake Paul's not Canelo. Jake Paul's not Mayweather. Jake Paul's not a Benavidez. He's not that level of fighter. But there's something about Jake Paul that is interesting, that's intriguing, and that we need to put some respect on is him as a guy who's been learning the sport of boxing, and he's got something that you can't teach. He's got some power, and he's kind of crazy. No, I don't think he beats any of those names I mentioned, but what I'm saying is Turki Al-Sheikh dislikes Jake Paul so much, he came in at the last minute and said, I'm going to break this shit up. And as a result, Canelo left Jake Paul in the cold. So now you say, well, damn, he left him in the cold to go chase this money. Now he's with Turki Al-Sheikh. Let me tell you this. If he didn't fight Benavidez, right, and left Benavidez hanging, if he left Jake Paul hanging, why wouldn't he leave Terence Crawford hanging? Now you can say, well, Terence Crawford is Turki Al-Sheikh's boy. True. They seem to have a pretty good relationship. But what I'm getting at is, what makes everyone so confident that Canelo is going to go forward with the Crawford fight? Because the more I sit here and think about it, I'm like, shit. If Turki Al-Sheikh's like, look, I can give you Jamal Charlo, maybe somebody else. Terence Crawford could be sitting his career aside for no reason. Now, I feel like there's a 75% chance Canelo goes forward with Crawford, so I'm pretty optimistic. But I still think, right, that there's a 25% chance Canelo going to have a change of direction. And he could swerve Terence Crawford and go do something different. And especially if Turki Al-Sheikh is like, look, these are the names. Yeah, I want Crawford, but what do you want? And understand this. Crawford is Turki Al-Sheikh's boy, but Crawford's not the golden child. He's not the show pony. He's not the cha-ching-ching money guy. The money guy is Canelo, and then Turki Al-Sheikh is Wu-Tang, all right? Cream. But if Canelo says, look, Turki, I don't want to fight Crawford. I signed a 3-fight deal with you. I'm going to make $100 million a fight with you, okay? I don't want to fight Crawford next. I want to fight this guy. Maybe I'll see about Crawford after that. But for the next fight, give me a Shane Mosley Jr. or give me somebody else, a Jamal Charlo or a Chris Eubank Jr. Then that's what Turki Al-Sheikh's going to do. You know when Turki Al-Sheikh, I'm going to say when he's in the house every day, it's Thanksgiving, but you know if Turki Al-Sheikh feels something, there needs to be a change, a refinement, an update, he doesn't care where they are as far as the timeline, right? He doesn't care. He's going to make the change. You look at what he did in Saudi Arabia recently. 2 guys falling out, and all of a sudden they're getting sick, right? That happened the week of the event. So there's no proof of any shady business, but if you ask me, if Turki Al-Sheikh wants to make a change, he's going to make a change. And I just think for Terence Crawford, man, he got to be, I mean, he's super confident, man, that he's going to get this fight. And Turki Al-Sheikh tries to keep his word, but I just have a feeling if Turki Al-Sheikh has a pick between Crawford and Canelo, he's going to pick Canelo. And he'll tell Crawford, brother, I promise you the Canelo fight, you will get the fight, just not in September. And Crawford going to be looking crazy out here. Pay attention, man, there's a pattern with Canelo. And especially now, he calling Turki Al-Sheikh Uncle Turki. The man called him Uncle Turki. I thought Turkey's name was Tom the Turkey. But no, he called him Turki Al-Sheikh Uncle Turki. Y'all better pay attention. Hopefully Crawford gets the opportunity, because I just think that will be amazing. Even if he lost, I just think it's an amazing opportunity for Crawford. And I do think it causes Canelo to really lock in. Not saying he does it for other fights, but to really lock in, because he does not want to lose to Terence Crawford at all. But if he doesn't fight Terence Crawford and he puts duck sauce on the carne asada, and that's just letting you know the Canelo really doesn't want to be in a situation like he was in with Mayweather, like he was in with the Triple G 1 and 2 fight, because he lost both of those fights, in my opinion. He won the third. And he doesn't want to be in a situation like he was in with Bivol. Anyway, keep cool. Canelo kicks Crawford to the curb like he did Benavidez. He sits there and allows Turkey Al-Sheikh to come in, man, and pluck him from the Jake Paul fight. And he may say, now, look, Turkey, I want to do something different and fight Crawford. Because remember, he said he ain't sure who he fighting. We know it's supposed to be Crawford, but things can change. So just pay attention, people. Crawford may get screwed down the line. Some people are going to be glad because some are going to say, well, I'm glad Crawford didn't get the fight because he would have got killed. Other people are going to be glad because they don't like Crawford. But some are going to be disappointed because they say, here it is, Canelo doesn't want to lose, like Gervonta Davis. The two faces of boxing, supposedly, guys don't want to lose. So they're putting duck sauce on fried rice and duck sauce on the carne asada. Anyway, keep cool. Shout out to the veteran, 7 continents. I hope Terence Crawford knows what he's doing and he gets what he's locked himself into a holding pattern to receive. In the breeze.